Hi, this is Gareth Green from Popcorn Digest and I'm back with yet more coverage from this year's Grimmfest Movie Festival. This year was packed with goodies and it would be impossible for me to get round to them all, so here are a few of my horror highlights, starting with Game of Death.
Seriously guys, are we playing or not?
Has anyone ever played?
The Game of Death starts when the counter stops at the number of kills that are needed to.
Alright, let's do this shit.
There are few things in life that match the sweaty palmed anxiety felt when the counter on Mario would hit the final 100 seconds. Suddenly, the music would kick up a notch and the rush to complete the level became a race against time. The clock had always been ticking. It's only now we took notice. Game of Death, no, not the Bruce Lee film, successfully taps into that specific brand of tension, but punctuates the journey not with the capturing of a flag, but rather a brutal and bloody murder. Or, if you can't see that through, your head, or perhaps the head of a friend or loved one, will violently inflate and explode. Like that age-old gif of a man on a beach inflating a dinghy. That is the titular Game of Death. Kill someone, or decorate your friends with the gruesome remnants of your final thoughts. Game of Death takes a premise that is essentially Jumanji meets Spring Breakers as a group of millennial stoners engaged in an acid-induced day of debauchery discover a retro arcade-inspired board game. Once they initiate the game, they are given a random number of people to kill or see themselves meet a gory end. With their previous game of kill, marry or fuck now whittled down to choices, they bicker, argue and fight over their next move. All the while their game's clock defiantly ticks away towards an inevitable death, one way or another. Game of Death is a goofy, mean-spirited and often laugh-out-loud funny blast through video game violence that occasionally, and but for one exception, unconvincingly, stops to remind you there are people paying the price for this gratuitous bloodshed on display. Although the constricting budget inevitably shows with the characters rarely changing location, directors Sebastian Landry and Laurence Laurice-Laguesse have set cheapness with an inventive use of gore and retro video game style animation. It also has something to say about the game of life being rigged against the millennial generation. But who are we kidding? This is mainly about the gore. And despite whatever flaws it has, at little over 70 minutes, Game of Death never outstays its welcome. And I award it 3 out of 5 stars.
I'm not playing God. I'm playing the Game of Death.
Want to put her in the mood? Watch a horror movie.
Dude, she's like twice our age. I really don't think it's gonna happen.
She's here.
It's that most wonderful time of the year again. Roaring log fires, snow on the ground, mistletoe on every doorframe, and yet another home invasion on an upper-class American home. Ah yes, the holiday season has truly begun. Once more it's up to a 12-year-old psychopath in the making, and his babysitter, to defend his household with shockingly violent results. Better Watch Out is a nasty holiday treat that turns an angry light on a culture of upper-class entitlement to reveal its corrupt beginnings. Ashley, played by Olivia de Jong, is a young adult in the midst of a teenage breakup, who on a near-Christmas night is tasked with babysitting Luke, played by Levi Miller, an intensely punchable, teetering on the edge of puberty brat who regards women as a right. While dodging the advances of this future rapist frat boy, Ashley and Luke suddenly find themselves prey to an elusive but deadly intruder, or perhaps several of them. What follows is a typically predictable game of cat and mouse, seemingly heading towards a reprehensible and insidious conclusion as Ashley is driven into the arms of her child protector and future date rapist. I truly hated Better Watch Out. That was until a twist revealed the film's true nature and brought me instantly on side. To say any more would ruin the surprises director Chris Peckover has crafted, but it appears my intense dislike of the film and its central character was entirely intentional, almost hinged upon. It's a brave move and one that almost completely pays off. After a fun and sometimes shocking ride, Better Watch Out unfortunately tapers off in its final act, perhaps falling too far on the wrong side of nasty. We really crave a hurrah moment for the film's main character, but it never quite lands. However, the film is saved somewhat in its final minutes. Nonetheless, it seems the only spirit this holiday horror celebrates is a mean one, and I award Better Watch Out 3.5 stars.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be an estate agent. Spineless and love negotiating.
Ah, there is no place like home. It's within those walls that many of us feel at our most comfortable and safest. Unless your apartment is haunted by Javier Botet, that is. Inspired by a true-to-life story writer-director Dominic Bridges discovered, Freehold concerns the day-to-day life of a self-obsessed estate agent called Hussein, played with great comic timing by Mim Sheikh, who, while not attempting to stitch up his potential customers, spends the majority of his time in his London apartment. One that also happens to house a skeletal Spanish man named Orlan, who secretly lives behind a kitchen fridge. With Javier Botet, director Dominic Bridges takes an imposing figure better known for its use in a host of monster movies, from the Xenomorph in Alien Covenant to the Mother Monster in Mama, and strips it of the expected prosthetics and digital trickery. Although Botet still manages to unsettle in a handful of scenes, this strip down effectively renders him humanly tragic and shockingly vulnerable. He is a man starved and physically twisted out of shape by a cold and self-interested society. Perched like a scavenger bird on the edge of a sofa that isn't his, Orland's presence in this urban apartment space is one of a vengeful ghost of a man, a shade of the person he was. Though Bridges imbues his film with a fiercely political message, it rarely feels burdened by it. In description, Freehold may seem as gloomy as a Manchester skyline, but much to the contrary, it is a colourful and inventively shot film that makes creative and often grossly hilarious use of a very limited space. The apartment may be the only world we glimpse, but it is one many audiences will be instantly familiar with. And to see it grossly defiled, as with Hussein's morning routine, well, it will certainly make you think twice about the next time you brush your teeth. Freehold was a Grimmfest festival highlight, and I award it 4 out of 5 stars. And that is all from me, Gareth Green, with my latest review. Remember to subscribe to Popcorn Digest for up-to-date reviews, interviews and much more, and follow us on our social media pages found at the links below. I'll be back soon with more exclusive Grimmfest content, but in the meantime, thanks for listening.